Hey, it's Susan Ragsdale with Right Creations Group, and today I am here with,
I'm Linda Ragsdale from the Peace Dragon.
and Linda, though we share the same name, is not related to me, but we do share a love of young people and wanting people to be well with themselves and to be the best version of themselves possible. I do that through a lot of games. She does that through art, and we both do it through books. But Linda was telling me about something she's been doing that I'm really excited about. And so I wanted to give this an opportunity for her to teach me and to teach all of you some new tricks. So what you got, Linda?
I think that's right. So because that's what we're trying to do here is we're trying to find, keep, and inspire peace. And I have to clarify something because it's the first thing that always to me, peace is incredibly important, but peace is also one of those words that has a wide span of, definitions. And so I really want to hone it in for what I define peace as and how it plays a part and why it's so vital in our world to not only teach it at an early age, but at any age, learn to adopt just a simple thing. We do view, voice, and choice. So see yourself in the world with love, speak to yourself in the world with love, and then make choices from a cool, calm heart. Because we know that sometimes that fiery spirit, like a dragon has, is not always the best place to respond to things. So once we learn how to do that, and also being human and learning you are going to be fiery at times. So what do we do after we've done that fire? But for me, peace is learning to hold that internal balance when everything around you is going crazy.
Oh, yeah.
And also learning how to reestablish that when it does get through to you and you find yourself getting turned all around. And one of those things is when you get angry, right? I'll ask kids, who makes you angry? Who makes you angry? Right? Mom, dad, my brother, my sister, right? Siblings are always like the number one. And I was like, oh, okay. So, right? Your brother goes up to you and says, be angry right now. And you do it, right? That's the way it happens. And they're like, no. And I was like, aha. So who decides you'll be angry? And of course, it's you. We always have the choice to never pick up someone's anger. So if I come raging and screaming at you, Susan, what are you doing? Right? And if you come back at me and say, then I've caught you on fire. And who's right or wrong? No one, because we both chose to respond with fire. And the problem with two fires getting together, right? Right. And there's a lot of fires out there. Yeah. So if we can be one less fire and inspire, right, how to douse those fires and how to learn that fire starts with you, I think that's a great gift to give ourselves and to inspire in others, that you have a choice. You don't have to be angry. Find out what that spark is. Find out what is that spark, because that's the whole key to resolving that fire within you and giving you the better choices on how to respond. So that's what we're doing.
Yes, and just note of clarification, those of you who watch me and hear me talk about sparks in a different way, my language would be trigger in her use of the word spark here, but she has a whole spark set of activities that are different than the kind of sparks that I do. Didn't want you to get confused.
Well, I think, right, the thing is, it's what starts it all, right? So there's the connotations of that, because what starts something good? What starts something, in a different direction? So I think that those sparks, and that's really, right, ultimately the question, which way are you going to take the spark? Are you going to let it, create the whole fire? Or are you going to let it generate something really good? When you see something out there, right, when you see something that you think is wrong or an injustice or something else, getting angry isn't always the best thing. The question is, why does that anger me? What is the start of it, brother? And then how do I help resolve this? What are the steps that I do, right? So
Yeah.
I think we're both, right, we expand, but it's here we go again. Peace, I'll have Peace say, people say, Peace is hippies and tie-dye. And I'll say, yeah, no, not in teaching Peace, right? I don't teach you how to tie-dye. No, although that's a cool thing to do. So it's interesting. And one of the ways that I do teach is that I have a line of picture books called the Peace Dragon Tales.
Yes.
And each of them has an aspect of teaching peace that teachers can pick up and help integrate into their classrooms. It's a great, I'm a big advocate of using picture books for any age to get a message across. And especially in classroom times, or when you have a limited timescape, picture book is 5 to 10 minutes read, and then really great in-depth perceptions on,
Right.
motivations, on results, on, what do we walk away from? And with such a simple form of writing and very directed emotional responses, right, from the characters within a picture book, it really is the simplest way to help you explain. I've used it in sessions with doctors, right, picture book text, because it shows them how to, and the session was delivering, right, they wanted me to do delivering bad news. And I was like, okay, so no, we won't put the word bad in there, because right now, right, that automatically puts you down the road and you're going to lose your patient. So if I put, I've got bad news, right? No, automatically that's, if you go to the doctor and someone says bad news, as an adult, we go, oh my gosh, I'm dying, and you immediately get lost in this and you're not listening any longer. So how do we keep someone listening? So here's where we are. Here's the facts that I have for you. Right? I'm not alarming you. I'm not using the adjectives that will put you into a different frame of mind. Adjectives are sometimes our most dangerous modifiers to any conversation. So we have to be really aware of how we're using them.
So you have a book example you're going to walk us through, yes?
I do, and you have the book. So
I'm
going to let you go ahead and show the book, and I'm so honored. It was the Parents' Choice Recommended Award winner this past year. So
very exciting.
And it is really such a very simple story. And if you open up to the first page and show it, it's one of those situations, right? So here it is. You wake up.
That we know.
Right? That storm above your head. And in this case too, right, brainstorm, there's a double entendre in here. The brainstorm that we usually think of as brainstorming ideas, like brainstorming this whole entire new, right? So this is actually the storm that goes around. And that sometimes, right, we go to bed with a problem and we wake up and there's this, so what do we do? And this child goes through a day of going through it. And if you go to one of the pages, so the wonderful thing about this book is that you can have this book. It's a wordless picture book, right? So
he's
easy,
not
right?
Alone.
It's caught over there. And if you go to the page where grandma is looking at it, so what this book starts off to do with, right, is, right, so here's someone, you have this issue, so what are you going to do? Now, the thing with any issue that we ever face, it's a we thing. It's an us thing. So we can have other people, so if you turn the page, we can have other people, right, try to help us out, but we can end up with something like this. Not exactly what we're looking for. But the idea behind this picture book that's really kind of fun is you show it overhead, right? You show it to the group and just let everybody take it in. And what you say as the preface to it is, what does the scribble identify for you? When you go through, right, it's a wordless picture book. There are no words to define what is going on in there. Only you define it. So I had done the grandmother page, as funny, right? Because it's an
Right,
oversized, right? When somebody tries to help you, you're even further behind in solving the problem. I actually thought that was a very funny page. So to me, it was, and I loved waiting for adults to get to that page. And I had this one adult turn to me and go, oh, that's exactly how I feel, completely tied up and bound and so caught up in frustration, and was like, oh my God, right? Everyone will see that scribble differently. And they will see
Yeah.
it differently at different times of their, whatever they're going through. Sometimes on a good day, the scribble is very, very manageable. On a frustrating day, everyone will see that as something different. But
I would say, yeah, this could be he's completely smothered in an overreaction to what he's
right?
going
But
through.
just there's
Or
no
he could
solution,
be,
right?
or it could be warmth. Maybe he felt enveloped in love for a moment. You never know.
I think, right, it offers all different things. But you also can have the illustrator was fabulous, right? So as
Yes.
he slips this off, you start to notice that he looks like the script, right? It takes on the form of him. So this is a you thing. So what will you do with this? And that is the empowering task of this book. What will you do with it? And here's what we want to end up with. You will face challenges, and you can get through this. And here we go to the idea of, you call me the flipper. How do we change something like this? So how do we make a scribble into something wonderful? How do we make it into something that changes the aspect of it to make it more manageable? How do we understand how to do that? So I am going to take you through one of our scribbly little adventures.
Oh, good.
And I hope that we can, so as we do this, are we on?
We are. I was going to say, one of the things that I like about what you did when the scribbly is like him facing himself, it is acknowledging early on that we all have a shadow side in its way. We are not all ice cream and cupcakes. We all have a shadow side. We're not going to be able to get rid of that. That's just part of our DNA and how we're wired. And so to teach little ones and teach all of us that you have to embrace that, because that's just part of how you're made.
Well,
that was
the
one
wonderful
side.
thing about us, right, is that we are not mono-emotional, right?
Right,
We
right.
experience all sorts of different things. And we experience a lot of emotions through one specific, event in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, what emotion do you need to help you reflect on this, to see it, to understand it, and then eventually move through? And that may be 1, 2, or 3 different types of emotions. So one of those things is really loving your emotions. Your emotions are those sparks that tell you something is going on. Pay attention here, right?
Yeah.
And acknowledge that and be able to say, Susan, today is I don't know what's going on with me. I'm angry about something and I don't know what it is. So that we don't, right, in the book you saw, the one you showed, the kids all standing, because we can spread that anger. Like I said, we can catch an entire classroom of people on fire by coming in with a storming and yelling and screaming and, creating this tornado and catching everyone up in it. Because I can call you on the phone and say, this jerk just got me off on the car. And then you'll say, and someone cut me off on the car. And then all of a sudden you'll call somebody else. And now we've got our phone chain of people all talking about bad things that have happened to them on the road, instead of, how are you doing? Oh my gosh, I had the best day. Something else. Oh my gosh, the sunsets out my window are amazing. And I'm so, we have to understand what we're focusing on and what we're looking on. And also, though, understanding that venting is really vital sometimes to letting go of these issues. Sometimes we need that good ear to do that. And sometimes, right, I've always loved the analogy. Here's a great communication tool. One of the things you say is walking up to a friend, and especially spouses, but friends too, tools or trash. And the idea behind this is trash. I need you just to, right? I need to hear myself say what I'm going through, because then I can see that I'm being overreactive, or I'm being ridiculous, or I just have to get it out of my system.
Yeah.
I'm just great. Or tools, I really do need your help on this. And so there's a different level of participation from the responder, right? If I tell you it's trash, you're going to be very empathetic to what I'm going through. And, how does it make you feel? Your response questions are different.
Mm-hmm.
And tools, you're going to listen with that. Okay, how about these options? You can help. I'm asking you, what do I do with this?
Right.
So there's that in itself is a really great way of sort of looking at the Scribble too. So how do we do this? So I'm going to say so 1,000 times there.
All right.
One of the things that we do is we just have people start off with a piece of paper and a pencil. And it doesn't really matter what you're doing, right? So the other thing that happens is this too. You can also have googly eyes or eye stickers or something else, because I'm going to take you through 2 or 3 different ramifications of this, because it can be really, really fun. And I did this in front of a group of teachers. And the joy of this is that it is this very playful, fun thing about how to turn something like a scribble in your day into something fun. How do you turn it around? So one of the things that you also want them to do is you want them to scribble. And I hope that the sound picks up on this. So when you start to feel these things, it's like this. Can you hear it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So you start to scribble. And the thing about that is, right, you feel the tenseness in your arm. You feel it in your hand. You hear it on the paper. There is a very sensory feeling to this and all of that. And so as you start to scribble, you start to realize, you know what? And I'm going to change this a little bit. I'm going to make this a little smaller. When you start to scribble, you start to realize, you know what? Oops. You start to scribble, you can own that scribble. All of a sudden, you start to realize that E, right, turns into a shoo, shoo, shoo. And you can start to explore. So what is it that is? And as you start to take it out, so let's take this line for a walk. What is it? Where is this inside of me? What is this doing? I have no idea. So I take it down like that. And then I go over here and I start to look within my own self and I say, what am I doing? Where am I going? And I take it down on this angle, right? And now all of a sudden I can go all the way up here and take a look as to what it's doing up here. And then all of a sudden I'm now relaxed a little bit more. And now I'm playing with this and my conversation is, well, I really can look at this and control this. And I can take this anywhere I want to. And all of a sudden, I've changed that scribble into something completely different.
Yes.
It is, right? And I always have kids guess, what is it? What is it? Right? And so a lot of times the kids will say, it's a dragon. And every once in a while I'll get it. It's a giraffe. And I'll say, no, it is a dragon. And I'll draw on a wing on it. Because you want people to have fun with their scribble. It is a great way to also teach kids how to draw, to take those scribbles and have fun with it and see, because it's easier to look at a shape and see and start with a little scribble, right? To make a little head. So if you're seeing someone's body looking up at that, you'll start with the head and then you can draw the body that goes down here and sort of guess the size to it. And you can guess that, right? So you'll start to put the body onto it and you'll put the shoulders onto it. And then maybe he's holding something and you'll put, so all of a sudden scribble drawing becomes, and I hope that he's got a leaf in there. So I want to make sure that.
I'll say, yeah, let's.
No, it did, right? That elbow sort of looked like the wrong thing that I wanted to, but maybe we'll just have him, right? So he's literally offering the giraffe a leaf. So
nice.
when you start to, right, so all of a sudden you can start to also teach kids how to draw and adults how to look at things differently. There's nothing wrong with scribble drawing. There's something really incredibly fabulous about playing with that, and also going and scribbling your emotion into that, right? If you are angry about something, instead of going and yelling and your adrenaline is out here, go and scribble. Go and scribble on that page. So when you start, right? So here you go. You start to scribble in the same place, even if you just write like this, and then stop and take a moment and look at that and say, wow, that's not only how I feel, but is this a mirror of what I'm showing out to the world? And is this right? Is this how I want to be seen? So now all of a sudden we can say, okay, well, let's have a little bit of fun with this. Let's change this. So tell me, how about a mermaid tail, right? So let's just go ahead and scribble a mermaid tail, right? So now it looks kind of like a funny little fish. But what if this fish had, 1,000, right, a little arms that go outward? So now we've got this silly guy. So what if we add in, I did these googly eyes beforehand, right? What if we added some googly eyes on? So if we go up in there, right, now I've got the ability to add some googly eyes on there. And if I wanted to, right, I can add even more eyes. And keep doing silly things. And maybe those eyes, right? So maybe those eyes are part of these tentacles instead. So now what I'm doing is I'm creating something good out of what originally started to be something very negative. I'm changing and altering that, and it doesn't have to be anything amazing. What it should do is make you smile. It should make you calm down. It should give you the space to breathe and put yourself in a different paradigm to look at the scribble that's going on within you with a different and calmer energy. And so part of this is the adrenaline run, and part of it is owning the powership of creating. Things come into our lives, but we can change them into something amazing. So
you're so talented.
Right, because I can scribble all over a page. No, right? The only thing about that is that we actually learn, right, how powerful our emotions can be for us. They don't have to work against us. They really are this incredible gift to, now have I ended the share?
Yes.
Okay, good.
It's back to you and me.
So I think that's ultimately the gift that I want to give out of that book, which is learning to understand how we see things that come into our lives. Mm-hmm. Those adjectives. This is bad news. No, it isn't. It's news. I will make it good news. I will make it productive news. I will make it something I will address by finding out all the information I need to know to make the best choices. Mm-hmm. So how do we do that? And like I said, part of it is learning what you need. And sometimes you do. Sometimes you got to go scribble on that page and just get that out. It's the same thing as screaming into your pillows and all the other aspects that you might address things. But sometimes it's good to just get that scribble out there and then change it.
So I did scribble while you were doing this.
I
did. Because mine is not as pretty as yours. But
I love it. You'll have to turn,
So
I love it.
So what I experienced, though, was, you're totally right. Just the whole sensory experience of hearing it and feeling it, already I am putting out of myself, externalizing whatever it is I'm feeling on the inside. And then when you pause, and I loved how you said, pause, look at it, and start owning it. you know, so then you're making some choices to make deliberate marks, and, you know, soft marks, changing over from going like this to little soft marks like I was doing with the bee, you know, the little
Right?
lines. I'm softening. I'm changing my energy.
Because you're also creative, right? That's in that
Yeah.
creative mode. That's, you are creating resolutions. You are creating a different view. And that's so important to understand, that that first internal view that we take is also how we put a voice to it outside, and also the choices that we make. It's, you know, it all starts on how are we seeing this.
The other thing that you said that I thought was really important was that about not making judgment calls, not using the adjectives. And so this is good for any ages of doing this activity. I mean, like you said, your picture book might be for the littles, but the message is for all of us.
Well, and I think that, yeah, the actual book is used for that, but it is perfect for adults. I mean, you can put that into a college classroom and ask everyone to do that,
Absolutely.
because they do know those feelings. And like I said, they'll be able to give you those other adjectives. Well, we did it with a fourth grade inner city school, and the list of adjectives for that scribble in their lives was indicative of all those emotions they know very well, and that can sometimes cripple responses, which I think happens to all of us at a point in time when we realize, right, when we get out of that childlike area and we really do just respond because we're hungry, we're tired, we're scared,
Right,
you know, all of those initial feelings that respond those, that as we start to learn we do control these, there is that point where we feel almost helpless, you know. This is, so how do I gain control of that? And giving someone the ownership that you own your anger, your joy, your right, and if you don't, right, then we go into a whole different arena of aids and help and everything else. But for the majority here, what we're talking about is this mental aspect of emotions are real. How can we address them? How do we do this? How do we ask someone, Granny? How do we invite friends in to help us solve it? Is it trash or is it tools? How do we learn when we are at that point where we need that? And how do we learn that we can take this and make something good out of it? And when you get out to the end of the book, he does. He owns that scribble and changes it completely, right?
And he's and in the process of scribbling and going from hard to soft, you're honoring all of your emotions. You know, instead of trying to push them away or, you know, be polite, you're honoring all the emotions and you're inviting other emotions in to help you deal. So,
And I think you said it too, right? The physicality of it. So you
yeah.
hear it, you feel the tension, you feel the whole thing. And when you take that break, right, you do. You'll also find that you're breathing differently when you're scribbling. There's a right, a held breath almost as you, and then when you pause, you realize that you've let out that breath. So there's so much that you can gain from that scribble exercise. So whether you have the book or not, it's a really wonderful way to help someone. And even if you give 20 scribbles to someone, it's really fun to let them choose the scribble, right? And then why did you choose that scribble? And then it was like, because I saw something like this in it. Oh, so how do you see, right? Do you like fish? Do you like this or that? You know, whatever it is that you see, how do you invite yourself to see that scribble in an aspect that you understand it, right? That you can work with it.
Well, this was really fun. I love you and I love your work. And I wanted
That's a
others
very
to
mutual thing.
I wanted others to know you, and I want them to know where to get in touch with you. And are you open? I know you're doing some online showing up in classes. Are you also open to doing after school programs, libraries? Like, where can they find you? How do they get in
Oh,
touch
yeah,
with
yeah,
you? What
yeah.
can you
Well,
do?
you know what? We're peace. So we find a way to do it. And we do, so all of the programs that we do are specifically suited towards whatever you are trying to address. So if it's bullying or if it's, you know, anger issues, is it tension? Is it, how do we look at this? How do we create those? you'll tell me what you're looking for, and I'll say, oh, and I'll give you a list of ideas, and we'll do it. So we'll do it
And
online.
she will. She always has lots of great ideas. It's true. It's true.
But it's fun to do that because, you know, we resolve it in 1,000 different ways. And I think that, you know, like I said, everyone has a way too that they're comfortable with, and you can't just offer sometimes, and you know this through a book of games, right? That there are 1,000 different ways that people will do it and own the game in their own way to make it work for what they're looking for. So it's fun that way. So look for me at thepeacedragon.com. That's the easiest way. Just go to the contact us and it'll come to me, and, you know, I'll connect with you and we'll make something happen. We'll do.
Well, this was a lot of fun, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. So subscribe, hit the notification so that you'll be aware when more ideas, activities, and strategies pop up. And share this with other people that you think would really benefit from having Linda show up in their space, because she's awesome and worth the investment. And we definitely want to spread peace. Thank you, Linda.
And also send your scribbles to Susan so that we can share those and put those out there and show us that you've owned that scribble, you know, and made something really fun for it. So
that sounds great. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Have a good one.